Hello folks, it's Ivo from Thundermist Lure Company, and today what we're going to do is we're going to give you 4 tips on how to avoid line twist when spooling up your spinning reel. So we're going to start with the very first, the basic, and that is getting your line on there. So I've blackened this line so hopefully you can see it. First thing you should do is just tie a knot like you normally would. Tie a knot on your shoe, make a single knot like so, and then just cut off the tag end. So you've got a little bit of a knot there on the end of your line. And then quite simply, just take your line, make a loop, like so. Put your line through your loop and then pull it snug. So what you've done is you've made like a lasso. So now you've got this little knot that you made in the beginning. You open up the lasso, take your reel, and then again just slip it over your spool. And then quite simply pull your line tight. And then what happens is it stops when it hits that knot that you made. So now you're ready to go. Now you're ready to spool. Now most people will spool up like this, which is a big mistake. First of all, also hold your line so that it's a little bit snug. You don't want it going on that loose. So just kind of pinch your line like that. Now notice the spool, how I'm putting it on my line and it's kind of rolling off the spool. That is a big mistake. What we need to do is you need to turn the spool this way. So what happens now is the line actually unwraps off the spool, so it wraps off, and then it comes onto your spool and it wraps onto your spool. And if you notice in this case, it's wrapping off and it's coming to my spool here, and it's wrapping on, continuing the same motion. So in other words, it's not coming like this and then wrapping on my spool this way. It's coming off this way, it hits my spool, and it continues to go on that way. And that is the key, your tip number 2 to avoiding line twists. So nice and easy, and you spool up that way. Tip number 3, I'm just going to put this down. Once you're totally spooled up, the next key is how much line do you put on your spool. And you can see here I've left about 1/16 of an inch to the front of that spool. If you look at the back of the spool, there's typically a little bit more, but you definitely don't want to fill this spool. If you fill that to the top, you've actually overfilled it and you're going to cause problems with line jumping off your spool, and you're going to create line twist once again. So that's your tip number 3. Tip number 4 is actually while you're fishing. A lot of people don't do this, and it's very important because when you're out there and you're fishing with the elements, with the wind and whatnot, you take your cast, you make your cast. Once you close your bail, very important to just make sure the line is on your line roller. What happens a lot of times, if you toss your line out there, sometimes the line will get caught on your bail arm, or it'll get caught right there on the side of your bail and your roller. So you want to make sure that it's on the roller. So very simply, and you know, once you do this once or twice, it'll become natural. You toss your line out and then just pull it onto the line roller and then start reeling. If you do that, you'll find that it'll avoid a lot of line twists, especially a lot of times too, you'll get the wind. You'll cast and the wind will actually take your line and coil it like so. And then what will happen is you'll have a big wrap inside your spool, and again you'll cause more line twist. So if you keep in mind those 4 simple points, you'll have a much more enjoyable day on the water and hopefully catch a lot more fish. Good luck and good fishing.